Hello. I'm back. I'm back with another wave of reviews because whenever I record reviews, I just do it in big waves. And I'm leaving very early tomorrow for another trip. So, this will give me something to upload from my phone while I'm on my trip. Uh first off, well, first off, watch the next video if you want to see what will he review next. But right now I'm reviewing The Boys season 3. Uh, I reviewed season 1 and season 2 previously on this channel in very quick succession back in 2020. Uh, Damn it, I said Succession, and then I started thinking about the show Succession instead. If you want to hear me review that in depth, watch the Fear podcast. Several episodes. We talk about it in several episodes. But The Boys, season 3, I just ended this last weekend. Holy cow, what a season. What big upgrade from season 2. Season 2 was good, but the middle dragged, and it just in general kind of felt like a step down from season 1, which not only had great characters and like a cool story and stuff, but also had such an interesting world that was so well expanded on with each episode. Like the pacing in season 1 was sublime. If you want to hear more about my opinions on season 1 and season 2, you can go watch those videos. I'll put cards in this corner. It like flips it on YouTube, so it's this corner. I think. Or it's this one. I don't know. Who cares? But season 3 is, I don't know if it's quite the perfectly paced thing of season 1. I would argue so a lot of the first half of this season involves them trying to find Soldier Boy. Them trying to find a weapon to defeat Homelander in Russia, which is tied to Soldier Boy, a 60s superhero, basically Captain America, who was captured by the Russians in the Vietnam War, I think. That's a vague, non-spoilery way of explaining it. And then the second half is they found Soldier Boy, and spoilers, I guess, but like it's in all the promo material. Jensen Ackles plays Soldier Boy, who ends up being alive. So then they're dealing with the ramifications of him and dealing with Homelander just getting crazier. It's so, like, it may not be as perfectly paced as season 1. I think the pacing of the first half, where they're finding the weapon Soldier Boy in Russia, is a little slow. But in terms of like what happens in this season and how these characters are pushed forward versus season 1 was setting a lot of groundwork in each episode. It was just very paced, very well paced, very well done groundwork. This is like, we don't need groundwork anymore because this pushes all of these characters to such interesting places. It's not just the Homeland, like, I know the show, like, Anthony Starr gets so much attention for his performance as Homelander, and like he deserves it. But everybody else is bringing their A game this season too. I think Starlight is the best she's ever been. I think Mother's Milk is the best he's ever been. That's the black dude that they work with. It had been so long since I'd watched the show. I forgot his name was Mother's Milk. I forgot he was Mother's Milk. So I was like, what? Oh, right, that is his name. Frenchie and Kamiko are better than they were in season 2. I feel like those characters still could be a bit more interesting, but they love to give them plot lines that are very separate from everything else, and their separate from everything else plot line was way less of a drag this time than it was in season 2. A-Train is not the best he's at. A-Train and the Deep continue to be themselves, but like Starlight is the best she's ever been. Butcher has some really interesting shit going on that, I don't know, I feel like he hasn't been more each season has a couple like focal points. Yeah, other than the first season, which was kind of just introducing you to all these characters, each season has had a couple like focal points, like season villains. Season 2 had Stormfront, season 3 has Soldier Boy. Season 2 had Butcher dealing with like Ryan and his wife being still alive. Season 3 has a bunch of things going on, but I feel like nothing is like quite in focus like that. They managed to move everybody's stories forward, not just like half the cast's stories forward. Black Noir even gets some good development here. Maeve, like everybody is on their freaking A game, and the season only gets better as it goes on. Like I said, I think the first half of the season drags a little bit, although the first episode does have one really fun scene. You may have heard what it is. But the second half, like after Soldier Boy like escapes, is probably like the best run of the show we've had so far. It's like the last, like, there's 8 episodes, the last, like, episodes 4 through 8. Because Soldier Boy is such an interesting, like, Stormfront was kind of just a Nazi. I mean, it was interesting the way she used social media and, like, modern platforms, and they continue to shine that light on, like, that political weirdness of, like, if you develop a cult following, you can get away with anything. They really continue to shed light on that in an interesting way, and point on that with Homelander, because Homelander kind of learns that from her. He doesn't become Homelander's never really been like Nazi racist. Like he's racist against basically all humans. Like he considers himself better than everyone, not just minorities. Like but where was I going with that? I don't even remember. I kind of went off on a diatribe. Soldier Boy was is more interesting than Stormfront because he really was like this Captain America, but what if Captain America was a douchebag? But he still has that Captain America charm, and that's what Jensen Ackles plays well, is this like Captain America muscular macho bravado charm, but like all the toxic masculinity sides of that, whereas Captain America is like the ideal version of that. Soldier Boy is, he even has it, but it's especially apparent when you get he has the scene that, you know, the Cap scene from the first Captain America when he is brought back from stasis at the end and he wakes up in this whole new world, the 21st century, and he's walking around 21st century New York. Soldier Boy has that scene after he's basically revived from stasis, and it makes the parallel to Captain America very direct, of like, oh, this is what we're doing here. It's Cap, but what if waking up in a new time period, what if he was waking up with PTSD, triggering powers he can't control, and like a toxic macho masculinity personality that makes him unable to address his PTSD? And that's like a really interesting dynamic for a villain character that it isn't as overtly villainous as Homelander. Like he's still a villain. Very much so. He's a very bad dude, but like he doesn't really intend to do anything all that bad. Like he's not out to like create an Aryan super race or whatever the hell Homelander does to be like God Emperor of the world. He just wants revenge on his team. That, you know, minor spoilers. He wants revenge on his team because they helped the Russians like catch him. They sold him out basically. But it's interesting to see how he parallels with Homelander and where he differs from Homelander. And then it's interesting to see like which of the boys basically are willing to work with Soldier Boy to stop Homelander, and which of them are like, no, this is where MM gets to shine, because his, like, and I didn't really remember this from previous seasons, his, like, each of the boys has their own superhero who kind of took everything from them. Like, Huey has A-Train, Butcher has Homelander, and then MM has Soldier Boy, who he thought was dead. So there's this conflict, there's inner conflict between the boys, there's conflict between the boys and villains, there's conflict between villains and villains, The plot is so rich and so layered, and every character gets their due. I just messed up my hair so bad. Particularly the Hero-gasm episode, which was super hyped up in marketing, is, we're adapting the comic, the superhero orgy. I mean, the superhero orgy's fine, but that's like the best episode of the series, or one of, because every character has like a standout great moment in that episode, and I think like from there, it's from that episode on, you're basically like, holy shit, this plot is rolling. Like, just, and the social commentary is great too. I guess I'll get into some spoilers here. The stuff with Homelander basically realizing that he can manipulate the media the way Stormfront did, and like he doesn't have to put on a smile and be like, you guys are the real heroes anymore, because people like revere him as this super god figure, and for his demographic, he can pretty much do or say anything he wants. And so he starts getting a lot more like publicly aggressive and publicly like, I'm the hero, I'm the one who saved, like, he goes on much more of a public ego trip, and it's very reminiscent of, like, honestly, it's very Trumpian, and I don't think they're, like, some people are not gonna like that, but, like, it is very Trumpian the way he goes on this Tucker Carlson-esque, Vought news show, and is telling everybody when Soldier Boy is attacking, he's like, no, it's fine. You're free to go out. You're good. And there's this conflict between his base and, like, Starlight's base, who Starlight really, her superpowers kind of suck. But it's fine because she has the power of social media and being good. That sounds lame, but I honestly do think it was cool how a lot of her arc this season was about finding power through her voice rather than her superpowers, like her public voice and her following, and like the fan base she's amounted for being probably the only genuine superhero in the entire boys universe, really. And so it's interesting to see how she kind of tries to weaponize that against Homelander. Sometimes it works, sometimes it very much doesn't. But, like, it forces Homelander to be a little bit on his toes, because even though his base will eat up everything he says and, like, tear down whatever Starlight says, like, it forces him to engage in the social media war, because she is fighting him on that front. Like, she's getting her fan base just as worked up about the shit that he's doing as he is about the shit that he's slinging at everybody else. And then, oh my god, that final scene of the last episode. I will say the last episode had less of a death count than I expected. Things kind of returned to a new uneasy status quo once again. We haven't gone scorched earth yet. There's still at least one more season for that. But they set up the threats well. Like, they set up that Victoria Newman, the head popper from season 2, which that is my one complaint about the season. You'll notice I haven't mentioned Victoria Newman yet in this video. And the reason for that is because she is honestly such a non-entity in the season. Huey went to go work for her at the end of season 2, not knowing she was the head popper, Evil Soup. And then he finds out that information like an episode in, and then just bails from work and starts helping the boys again. And there's never even a scene where he encounters her and they talk it out. There's a scene where she talks to Starlight and reveals that she knows he's helping the boys, but there's no scene where he talks to her. They barely use her this season. Honestly, she continues to sort of like play games in the background with Stan Edgar. And it's a shame because, like, I don't know, Homelander is great, but, and this is kind of an unpopular opinion that I think most of the fan base does not share, I wouldn't mind if they killed off Homelander, like, maybe not this season with the arc they were going for this season, because clearly they still have a lot of big plans for Homelander, and I'll get to that in a minute, but I wouldn't mind if they killed off Homelander like end of next season and then had one more fifth season that placed focus on other villains like Stan Edgar or Newman, because I feel like she was set up to be the season 3 villain, kind of like to be because each season has Homelander and then it has like a more immediate threat, I guess. And she was kind of set up to be the more immediate threat, and then she was very much not immediate in season 3. And I would have liked to see more of her. I would have liked to see more of how she interacted with Huey. I would have liked to see him in the environment of working for her a little longer. Like, he finds out and then he's instantly back to the boys' ways. And I feel like it kind of like it makes his arc this season, like the first part of it, a little like sudden, because we don't see the year that he's working for her. We just hear about it. And I just like, they've teased that she's in the running for vice president, which means she can fucking head pop the president and take over. So, like, that's a big deal, and they're clearly gonna have to stop her, but, like, I have no way of knowing with that cliffhanger how much attention that plotline's actually gonna get next season, because I thought it would get attention this season, but it didn't. You know? The stinger that was much more poignant and did sort of assuage my maybe they don't need Homelander anymore thing was the final scene in which that Homelander has Ryan now. That's a big twist. They bring back Ryan in the last episode, start doing crazy shit with him. He's the kid that fucks up all the dynamics. And I did not expect the last episode I thought was really good. It wasn't quite as scorched earth as I think most people expected, but I loved how they opened it with reminding us that Ryan exists, having Ryan go with Homelander again, and then just like, oh shit, changing the dynamics of the final fight from what you expect to accommodate for this new Ryan element. And then the last scene where Homelander introduces a crowd of his adoring fans to Ryan and then frickin' lasers a dude's head off in public because because the guy threw a can at Ryan and yelled fucking fascist at Homelander and Ryan, and Homelander lasers this dude's head off and the crowd cheers. And that's like a terrifying ending note. Oh my god. Like, they took the thing they've been doing all season with Homelander being more openly, like, aggressive and violent and, like, bad in public, and just knowing how to spin it to the people because he learned from Stormfront, basically. They took that and, like, ramped it up to, like, the worst possible degree. The Trump quote, "I could shoot somebody in the middle of Fifth Avenue and not lose any voters," is like they made that literal, but they made that literal for Homelander, of like, he just killed somebody in public and his fans don't care, and what are the police gonna do? You can't arrest Super God. Like, Homelander won't, and that has enormous implications for season 4, and it's gonna be really interesting to see how they handle a Homelander that can basically that is not really constrained by the public view anymore. Like, he's going to have to get some humbling again, because frankly, I don't know how much longer, like, I keep wondering how much farther can Homelander be pushed before he just snaps and starts killing everybody. And they keep managing to push him even farther, and it's freaking scary. I thought with, like, the first 3 episodes of this season, I thought Homelander was gonna die this season because I didn't think there was much farther you could push that kind of restrained mania. But apparently there's still more mania to come, so that's gonna be freaky. I don't know if next season will be the last. I believe the showrunners have said they're aiming for 5 seasons, so like 2 more. 1 to deal with Newman, 1 to finally, get rid of Homelander, I guess. It's like, okay, or maybe the other way around. First one deals with Homelander, second one deals with... I'd like to see how the boys would write its stories without the Homelander element. I'd like to see how the show would do that. But overall, great season. If you haven't been keeping up with The Boys, go watch season 3. I don't know. This show is still the show is still the best superhero show on TV. No Peacemaker has not usurped it, and neither have any of the Marvel shows. Speaking of Marvel, my next video will be on a new Marvel thing. It's gonna a little Love and Thunder. Okay, arrivederci.